Hello everyone. I thought I would make a quick video. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about secession lately, and I just wanted to comment on that. There is a huge gulf between the left and the right now, and it might be tempting sometimes to think about things like this where we say, well, if they want to live that way, let them live the way they want to live over in their place, and we'll live the way we live in our place. Though I argue that that's the way America's already set up to be. I hate that we have so many elected officials that feel like it's their business to tell each and every state how to run things. And I think overall that is the way of the far left, because they are, ultimately for large government control, because like I explained in some of my other videos, there is this idea of the unconstrained view that if government can just get big enough that it can force everybody to be good. So if there's something wrong, it's just because our systems are not adequate. So if we can just get a big enough government, we can eventually get enough systems to fix things. But I think we already have a great way of life where if the people on the two coasts want to live in a place where they socialize everything, let them try to socialize everything for themselves and see how well it works out. And I would say that, for the most part, every step they take in that direction ends up, coming back to haunt them. But that's neither here nor there. So aside from we already have a union of states where each state governs itself, and I think unfortunately our federal government's been grabbing more and more power, and that's unfortunate, because I really do believe that we should leave each other well enough alone in the end on a federal level. Now, I will also say this. I want to stay and fight. I haven't given up on America, and that is the duty of a Christian, is not to leave. I think one of the reasons that America is in the shape that it's in is because Christians have too often decided to leave whenever there's a situation that's not something that a Christian wants to be around. So it's like, well, this is getting pretty gross. I've got to get out. But a Christian's supposed to be the salt of the earth. We're supposed to change things. And so we back out too much instead of staying to fight. And that's one of the reasons I'm still on Facebook. I've largely cut out, I don't want to pretend like I'm doing something I'm not. I largely stopped doing a lot of stuff on Facebook anyway, just because I don't have time for it and I don't see the necessity in it. I do like to keep up with my friends and family, but it eats up too much of my time, kind of like TV. It's one of the reasons I had to cut TV loose. Is because it was just too much of a distraction from creating and exploring and all the things that I like to do that are much more rewarding. And so Facebook kind of became that way as well. So, but I refuse to leave it all the way, even though I've stopped doing more of my personal stuff on there, and I mostly do posts that are meant to be influential in one way or another, and to kind of make arguments that my friends and family can hear, because I refuse to give up the fight and leave just because they try to censor what I say. I feel like Christians have conceded much too much ground already. And so the last thing I would say on this is that I think we're winning the fight. I know it doesn't look like it. But I feel like these are the last-ditch efforts of a cornered animal. So there's a lot of wickedness that's floating around out here in this country, and it wants to stay where it is. Darkness hates light. It doesn't, whenever you start shining a light on somebody who's doing something wrong, they don't like that. That's why we put up street lights. That's why we put up lights in our yards and keep them on all night, and lights in businesses out in the parking lot. Is because people don't like to do stuff in the light. They like to do it in the dark. Okay. And so right now, I think this is a last ditch effort. I think there are some dangers. I don't think it's a slam dunk. I don't think we've already won by any means. I think, we might have to take some more losses before the tides turn. But I think that we're in that position right now. And the reason I say that is because we live in a postmodern age. And the ideas of postmodernity are that the truth is there is no truth, which is absurd in a way because it's an attempt to let you do what you want to do, and so the idea is that there is no meta narrative. But the people writing that, they're writing that as a meta narrative, and they're saying that there are no narratives. It's just individual narratives, and you can't believe. There is no such thing as like this fundamental truth, and unfortunately, that's circular logic. So when you say the truth is there is no truth, the first thing I say is, well, why should I believe you? It's a circular argument. It depends on truth to try and prove that there is no truth. Right? Their argument falls apart, and I think some people have been making some really strong arguments. Christians have many Christians have been arguing in that vein. Many wonderful apologists, and they have been shutting down. I feel like people like that, and not just Christians, but people that argue against the circular logic of postmodernity, have eventually. I feel like they've defeated it. They've got it on the ropes, and that's why we're facing something now called post-truth, where you see this a lot since the lockdowns and the riots. It's this blatant disregard for truth. It's people seeking full autonomy. So postmodernity is the truth is there is no truth. Whatever is. You can have your own truth, right? So we've heard that a little bit too. But post-truth borrows some of that, but ultimately they say, well, yeah, there may be truth. There may be truth. And, just for instance, like, well, there may be a God. And the statistics might say this. And these might be the facts. But I don't care. It's not my truth. So it's a blatant disregard. It's not only just, it's not only like the postmodern idea that, well, whatever works for you must be true. If this works for you, it's true in its own way. And there is no grand narrative. Well, this goes a step further. It's saying, well, it's admitting that there's truth. They just don't care. They just don't care, which is much harder to argue with. But I don't think it's a tenable position, and I think it will fall. And I think already the idea, just the fact that post-truth even is gaining ground is good. That means postmodernism is falling, and I think that's a good thing. And so I think we're actually winning the fight. I think we've got them on the ropes. Truth is on our side. The facts are on our side, and that's why they've abandoned truth and facts. Okay? All right, until next time. If you like this video or you appreciate what I'm trying to do here, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you don't, like it anyway, because I think you should, and that's my truth.